We already spoke on this, so let's speak on it. It's been a long time coming and we came. You're welcome. I'm Raxiel Liz and you're listening to We Alive and Living. Let's jump straight to the shit right now, right? Let's jump straight to it, yeah. This is a topic that's been it's been brought up to me a few times. Not only has it been brought up to me, but it's been happening around me. And I was with a group of people talking, and it came up. And then I started noticing the trend about it. I was like, man, this seems to be something going on a lot, And then not only that, I was in the studio, one of my friends recording some music, and the topic kind of came up again. And the topic is, well, this is not the topic, but this is what I'm labeling the topic. Being a product of your environment. We've all heard that term, right? We've all heard the term, being a product of your environment, or you become a product of your environment. What I've been noticing is that people adapt that mostly to where they were raised at. Like, you're from, whatever neighborhood you was raised at, whatever household environment you was brought up in, people seem to only adapt it to that, as if it could only happen in your youth, like when you're young, when you're a kid, growing up, and everything you've been through. It seems that people not only bring it up during that, but mostly bring it up when it's kind of that situation. So I'm speaking to a friend of mine, and this has been brought up by different people, but this particular friend brought it up recently, and it made me think about it. And I was like, let's talk on that. And he says, this is not the exact thing he said to me, because I don't want to put what he said out there, but I'm going to make up a situation that will relate to it and everybody can understand and is relatable. But he says to me that he says something along the lines of being depressed, right? And he didn't use the word depressed, but he used the words in a sense of non-sociable, non-communicative, like didn't communicate a lot, or had problems communicating lately with people. And he feels like he has something going on that he wanted to get diagnosed. So he said that he had a doctor's appointment coming up soon, him and his girlfriend, and that they wanted to see if they get diagnosed with this particular, I don't want to say illness, but particular symptom, let's say. So I looked at him and I was like, have you always felt like this? And he's like, no, it's just kind of been coming up a lot. And maybe he just didn't notice it. So I say to him and I'm like, well, when did you start noticing this? And he's like, me and such, his girlfriend, they fight a lot. And sometimes he don't know what to say to her. Or sometimes she don't know what to say to him. So I'm like, so you both think you got this symptom, this thing, right? So he's like, yeah, ain't that crazy? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit, It's crazy in the term of, wow, like the universe put both of you together. And that's not impossible. But it's, I don't want to say improbable, but, so you never felt this before. Then here comes this individual that you're with. And then all of a sudden, a few months, year, 2 years, whatever passes by, and you start feeling like this, and then you want to get diagnosed, and you never felt like this before, but you feel like maybe you just didn't notice it. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. You are becoming a product of your environment. Now that I've established the ground with you, my listeners, let's unpack this for a second, right? Now, the symptoms, illness, whatever you want to label it, I don't like calling it illness, but that's what he was saying. But I'm going to call it the symptoms. The symptoms that he felt he had, to me, in my opinion, were created by his environment. Because I've known this person for quite some time. And this person does not have problems communicating. This person is very social. And this person is very expressive. those three factors are collectively the main reasons, or not the main reasons, but some of the reasons that me and this individual became friends. It became like very, hey, what's good? We kicked it off really quick. There was nothing about him that seemed shy or distant. Again, not that being shy or distant or introvert or anything like that, anything wrong with that. I have many friends like that. Like, I actually have more friends like that than outgoing friends, to be honest with you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. To me, it's all a form of being comfortable and knowing how to talk to people. So we'll talk about that another time, but just to touch on it for a bit, a lot of introverts, to me, it's about being comfortable with the person they're speaking to, and being the person that they're speaking to, knowing how to speak to people. You got to know how to adapt to people's personalities, how to keep yourself real, but still adapt. But that's another conversation. So back to these symptoms, right? I tried telling this person, or not tried, but I was telling this person, I'm like, I don't think you have these symptoms, brother. I think what you're suffering from is being a bitch-ass motherfucker. And your girl is suffering from just being whiny and bugging and shit, And again, not saying that the girl is the problem at all. I'm just saying that I know this girl to be that way, and he's not like this. And now he's becoming like this. Again, the situation could be vice versa. It could be a girl giving me the same situation and the boyfriend is giving her the vibes. I'm just saying this about her because it happened to be guy-girl, you know what I mean? So I don't want nobody to feel like, oh, so you attacking females? And no, shut the fuck up. There's nothing like that. I'm just giving you the facts of this particular situation. And again, my breakdown is not on the girl. My breakdown is on him. I'm just involving her because she is part of the conversation. So he's never been like this, and now he feels like he's like this. Now let's fuck it up for a second. Back to the product of your environment. When you marry somebody, or remember, people love to use the product of your environment only when it comes to like your upbringing or whatever, acting like when we're adults, or like acting in the home we live in, can't alter the way you think, can't alter the way you are. So, married couples, me being one of them, you need to realize that sometimes you can lose yourself and become somebody else during that marriage. Sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's for the worse, sometimes it's just for the adaptability of the relationship. And that's perfectly fine. When you're in I don't want to call their situation toxic, but when you're in a relationship that has a lot of arguments, a lot of disagreements, it's not necessarily toxic. It's just two people having differences and they keep clashing because they can't come up with a solution or can't come up with a middle ground. And when that happens, a lot of times, one of the parties, a party at hand, like the girl, the guy, the girl, whatever, somebody's voice in those arguments, those discussions, those disagreements is stronger. And sometimes it's not necessarily that the other person's voice is stronger. Sometimes it's that the other person is just giving up, or sometimes they're just leaning towards their way of thinking because they don't want no problems. Well, I guess some people could call it giving up. I call it compromising. And this is why a long time ago, which we'll have a conversation about this as well in another episode, a long time ago I talked about how compromising sometimes can be equivalent to giving up. And we're confusing the word compromising and adapting. I should write that down for another conversation, right? Compromising and adapting is not the same thing, But I do want to write that down. So as I'm speaking to you guys, I'm trying to write this down so I won't forget. Compromising and adapting. But yeah, compromise, adapt. All right. I just didn't want to forget so we could bring down another conversation. I apologize. But when you're in a situation like that, you start becoming a product of your environment. the person with the the person with the lower tone, not tone as far as yelling, but the person that's willing to be like, okay. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. Whatever you say. The person that's willing to compromise a lot starts becoming their environment. So if you're with a person that has, let's say, again, I don't want to call it illness, but these symptoms of not necessarily depression, but depression comes along with it, or self-doubt, doesn't have a lot of confidence, has a lot of fears, has issues communicating. They inflict that on you a lot of times. Now, you as the spouse, as the friend or whatever, you have to try to make your partner feel stronger and feel safe. So it goes hand in hand. But when you don't do that and you start compromising, you start becoming that environment. You start allowing the environment to take control of the way of your thought process. So you start being like that. Hence, you start feeling like you have a symptom. Now, we all know the Eminem Advil theory, right? You ever heard about that? If I give you a bottle of Advil or Tylenol, and I say, here, take these Advils, take these Tylenols, but it's really filled with Skittles or M&Ms, and you just put them in your mouth really quick and you swallow them. Let's say you don't taste them. You just kind of put them in your mouth really quick and you swallow them. Or I'll give you sugar pills or something like that. Hydrating pills, whatever. And you just swallow them. You start feeling like the headache is going away because you're convincing your mind and your body that you took something to numb the pain or to take the pain away. It's a trick of the mind. So it's a situation like that here where you start tricking your mind and allowing your mind to believe that you have a symptom. Ergo, therefore, making yourself sick. Like a person that says, you start telling yourself, man, I'm starting to feel dizzy, but you really don't feel dizzy. But you start walking around saying, man, I feel like I'm going to start getting dizzy. And give it enough time, you're going to fucking start feeling dizzy. Give it enough time, you're going to give yourself that headache that you're talking about. Give it enough time, you're going to become a hypochondriac. You can convince yourself to be sick. Another example. You ever seen people that they're perfectly fine, or they feel perfectly fine, then they go to the doctor, and the doctor tells them they have something, and then all of a sudden, after the doctor told you had this illness, you start fucking breaking down. All of a sudden, you sick every day, you throwing up, you fucking up, you start fucking falling apart everywhere. Your back hurt, your legs hurt. Start losing hair, you can't see. Everything starts happening after the fucking doctor told you. It's because, and whoever don't want to agree with me, that's perfectly fine. Again, this whole podcast, is opinionated. It's opinions. It's the way I see things and the way I've helped people progress through situations, including myself. So, after the doctor tells you, yeah, you have this, you go home, all of a sudden, you don't feel as good as you did before you walked in that motherfucker. And nothing happened. The doctor didn't give you nothing. You didn't take nothing. You didn't eat nothing specific. You just start feeling all fucked up. And from there on, every doctor visit, you get more fucked up and more fucked up and more fucked up. And hopefully the doctor finds a solution for you. But you get the drift. You get my drift. Same when it comes to becoming a product of your environment with people. If you allow your partner, spouse, friend, whatever, people around you to start inflicting a process into you, and you allow them to, you start going against your own beliefs. You start going against your own thought process. You start going against the way you see things. You start becoming that person that's inflicting this upon you. You start becoming your environment. And it's not necessarily that they're inflicting it upon you. It could be inflicted upon you, like, they're giving you that problem. It could also be you're allowing them to convince you so much that if you put me in a room with a person, or you put two people in a room, a group of people in a room, whatever, and a voice starts telling these people, you're going crazy. You're going to start, somebody's behind you. And they're like, man, whatever. Leave them in that room long enough saying that. They're going to start looking behind their shoulders, even though they know nobody's behind them. They could be standing against the fucking wall. Somebody's behind you. Look, I'm looking behind me now. Somebody's behind you. Somebody's behind you. Be careful. Somebody, you go to sleep, then you wake up to the voice. Somebody's behind you. Like, what the fuck? Give it a few weeks, a month, a fucking year. That person can't stop looking behind their fucking neck. They're gonna start looking back every 5 minutes. They walking down the street. They're gonna start fucking looking back because you're convinced that somebody's fucking behind you, even though you know they're not. Now, yeah, you have people that's very strong-minded that might not give in, or might not give in as fast. Let's say it might take them a while, or after it happens, they can break free of this later on. But we all understand what I'm trying to say here. Stop with the shit. I know this podcast is on social media, but stop with the social media bullshit. Oh, you guys, shut the fuck up. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It is easy to become that of which you don't believe. It is easy to become that of which you don't believe, but that of which you don't believe can be relentless. It could be stronger than your willpower. It could be stronger than your fight. And what I mean by that is, if you live with somebody and they have insecurity issues, they have a lot of depression, they have a lot of doubts. And again, I repeat, none of these things make that person a bad individual or a weak individual. None of that. Let's stop acting like some of us are not like that, or like these people don't exist, and like these people can be helped, and these individuals, the process is there to help them out. Again, I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I'm just saying if you're in a situation with someone that is like that, it is your duty, your job to assist with the situation, but in order to assist, you have to know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you will allow the situation to take control. You will allow the situation to grow so big into this void of everything that you should have, could have, would have, and should have said, that you start becoming that product of your environment. And that product is your household. You start becoming your wife. You start becoming your husband, your friend. If you have a roommate that's always fucking angry and they walk around mad all fucking day, and you're like, yo, chill, bro, what's wrong with you? Chill, bitch. The hell's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And they just mad for no fucking reason. Every time they see you, it's like, hey, how you doing, man? What? Fucking mad. Yo, you stick around them for about 3, 4, 6 months. You're gonna be sitting at the table eating cereal, and they're gonna pass you by, and you're gonna be like, yo, I don't want to hear no shit from you today. Keep that shit over there. You see? You don't sound so jolly, right? Now, some people might say, nah, that ain't got nothing to do with anger. I just don't want to hear his shit right now. His or her shit. I'm chilling. Yeah, I get it. But you see, because of them, you're already on defense mode. In your household, in your place of sanctuary, you're on defense mode now. So as soon as you saw them, they hit you with that. You're like, oh, yo, don't come here with that. And let's say that person don't stand down. You're like, yo, don't come here with that. And they're like, yo, who the fuck you talking to? I just woke up. Yeah, but you usually wake up on some shit. Yo, how you gonna accuse me? Yo, I ain't say nothing to you. Now all of a sudden, they're acting like they're not always angry. And now you looking like you're fucking crazy. And you both get into an argument. Now they be like, yo, fuck you, man. Yo, don't come at me like that. They grab their glass of water or whatever the fuck they woke up for. They walk for and they go back to their room like, yo, fuck you. And you're like, what the fuck? So now you're like looking like the asshole. And then due to him or her, you leave upset. You walk out into the street upset. Now you go to work or you go see your friend or you go into the store. You kind of upset of what happened. Now this happens a lot, let's say, throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the months. It starts happening almost every day. You and this person get into a fight. You start going everywhere you go, work or whatever, to see your partner, your friends will hang out. You start going, they're upset. And people are like, what's wrong with you? You seem different. Fucking roommate, this motherfucker, man, blah, blah, blah. Now granted, it ain't you, but a situation's allowing you to become a different person and treat people around you differently. And if you don't handle this situation, you start becoming the situation. You start becoming a product of your environment. You start becoming that situation that you and your roommate have. That environment you and your roommate are creating, you start becoming that. And then things happen like you start ricocheting on other people. Or you start getting mad about things you never really got mad about. You alter relationships with the people around you that do care about you. You don't want to go home. You don't want to go to your own home because you don't want to get into an argument with this motherfucker, right? You start becoming that environment, even though you don't notice it. And until you get that environment out the way, or until you move out, until you neutralize it, until you guys sit down and have a good talk and find middle ground or whatever the case may be, you stay that environment, and then a new environment starts becoming you guys. Because that roommate was a certain way, you was a certain way, and then together y'all create a new way of negativity, and that shit explodes, and that boom becomes you guys' environment that every time you are there, that is the way you treat each other. If you bring friends over, the energy is off. If you go out, your energy is off because you became that environment. Moral to the story, I'm not going to prolong this because we get it. Right? We get it. We get what we're talking about here. You could be married. It could be your kids. You towards your kids. It could be your father, your mother, your grandmother. It could be any fucking body. The moral to the story is pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to who you was before that environment. Let's say you got married, you got a roommate or a friend or somebody came to visit or whatever. When you find yourself feeling a certain way, before you go off the hinges and start seeking doctor help and start feeling like you are the problem, start feeling like, man, I think I got these symptoms, I think I have this illness, before you start flying off the hinges on that, ask yourself, who was you before that? Ask yourself, was you feeling like this before your environment? And then ask yourself, did you bring that into the environment? And if your answer is no, you realize that you're becoming part of the environment that you live in. And now you know what to address. You know what to attend to. And again, not saying that you don't go to a therapist, or not saying that you shouldn't go to a therapist or whatever form of help you want to seek. Not saying you shouldn't go to it. But if once you identify the issues, you can at least say to yourself, I want to go to the therapist for these reasons. Or you can at least have a game plan now, or something, a one-up, a chess move. Because now this individual that you love, like your wife or a friend, whatever, you don't want to like unfriend them or not be friends with them. But now you know how to go address the situation. You acknowledge maybe they need to go to this place. 'Cause I'm acknowledging that I'm not the issue here. And if you can't talk to them or communicate, at least you could go to this therapist or a friend or whatever, knowing some process of authority for yourself. At least you have a chess move in your hand. And not only that, it's not even about winning or losing. It's not about that. It's about your well-being, your peace of mind, your sanity. We don't give ourselves enough credit in the sense of protecting our state of mind. We're always like, people are always quick to be like, yo, did you go talk to them? Maybe you should talk to them. People forget. Sometimes we need to talk to ourselves, or handle a situation within and pay attention to the atmosphere before you go talking to what you think is the issue. Because you can find out you are the issue. But when you come to the conclusion and you feel real comfortable that you are not, and you realize there's one major factor, that you became a product of your environment, I promise you, it's easier to go forward on whatever decision you want to make after that. It's easier to attend to it versus just going off the hinges and saying, I'm not the problem, it's your fault, and keep trying to make each other see point of views. Help yourself find your point of view, your true point of view. And what I mean by that is discovering what made you like that before you got there. Not before me. What made you like that now? Like realizing that you are becoming the environment. Yeah.